Hey, what is up guys, Zero here. Welcome back to yet another lorcana video. We have some more League gameplay for you today. We've been running pretty hot so far with some wins with Bluesteel in set 5 of Shimmering Skies. And yeah, we're going to be seeing if we can keep that streak going. Before we get started though, if you do enjoy this content, the updated graphics and continued commentary, do consider leaving a like. And yeah, if you would like to see more, maybe hit the subscribe button. It would help me out a lot and keep me motivated and chugging out more videos. But yeah, we are going to be starting straight into this. We are up against Amethyst Steel for this game. This is a more mid-range build, so yeah, a bit different from other builds we've been seeing so far. We have an addition of cards such as the 5-cost Elsa, the new Madam Mim, the 4-cost Elephant, stuff like that that can kind of help out a mid-range build. So yeah, let's see how this deck fares against us in this game. Diving straight into it, it looks like we were on the play for this first game of this series. We managed to get our Popsicle out on turn 1. Our opponent responds in kind with Robin Hood. Since he's playing Robin Hood, it's pretty safe to say that he is probably running the Shift variant too, the 5-cost, so something we can expect in the future. And on turn 2, I get Mr. Shmee out, and my opponent passes on his turn 2. He didn't have a turn 2 play. And right here, you see I agonize a little bit before I ink away my Fishbone Quill, and I end up babooming. I use Baboom on this 1-cost Robin Hood. So yeah, here's the choice. It really hurt me to do that because obviously Fishbone Quill is my ramp tool. I don't want to be inking it away. That was my turn 3 as well, which was the perfect time to play Fishbone. But my reasoning was if I quest with Shmee here, then if he has it, he can just shift into his Floodborn Robin Hood that we were talking about before, which has a 3/6 stat line. It can just trade into Shmee, and he will gain 2 lore off of that trade and be in a very good position. But here instead, since I ink away the Fishbone and I baboom away his Robin Hood, he doesn't get the shift option. He has to ink it away. We saw him ink away, so we know that he had it, and we probably made the right decision there. And he plays Friends on the other side, which is really good for us. But yeah, continuing our line of play, we just play Hiram, get some draw to. Our opponent on his turn 4 gets out Merlin Rabbit. And on our next turn, we get to play another Popsicle so that we can quest with Hiram, use his ability again, and draw another 2 cards. And then now we get another Fishbone Quill out. So yeah, we delayed our inking for 2 turns because we didn't get it out on 3, and we played Hiram on 4. But now we have it out again. We can begin our ramp now that we've also put a lot of new cards in our hand. We've got to draw and see a lot of cards with Hiram, and our opponent is also seeing cards. He got to, you know, play Friends. He got to play Rabbit, but he doesn't have as much board presence. And we are also getting a lot of free ink off of the, or sorry, not free ink, free lore off of our Mr. Shmee. So we are at 5. We're in a pretty good position because this is something where, you know, we don't. At least playing Bluesteel, in my experience, we are not normally ahead in ink as far as it goes. But yeah, on our opponent's following turn, he gets a pretty good play with a Sing of Along Came Zeus from his Rabbit. Doing that into our Hiram, doing 5 damage to our Hiram before playing Grab Your Swords to wipe our board. Take out everything we had left and kind of, you know, start us all off on a fresh slate. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too upset to see that. That's 2 very strong cards out of our opponent's hands. And we lose a Mr. Shmee, we lose a Hiram, but I feel like they both did a really good job for us. We got a lot of lore from our Mr. Shmee, and we got a lot of cards out of our Hiram. And yeah, and we lose 2 very strong songs on our opponent's side to get them off the board. And with a fresh board, I get to just play my Tinkerbell out and start to exert some influence on our opponent here, where my favorite part about Tinkerbell is once she hits the board, it's always questionable if you should turn your character sideways. Like, is that going to be a good play, or is that going to be dangerous? But yeah, as we can see, our opponent will sing Friends on the other side with this Rabbit before bouncing it back with Madam Mim Snake. So a lot of value from this Rabbit, just like we got a lot of value out of our cards. So yeah, the Rabbit we saw, it sang a long game Zeus, sang friends, got bounced back, and then played again. So that's a lot of cards our opponent has now for free. So something I'm definitely looking for when our opponent has such good plays here where he gets to draw a lot of cards is a whole new world. If I do have it, I very heavily want to consider playing it. Even if I do have some sort of hand, with my opponent having such a strong hand size too, he probably has a lot of cards in hand. It's almost beneficial for us to play it anyway if we do have it. So that's something to think about. But yeah, so first off, we are going to be playing our Dime. I think Dime is a very good card in this matchup because I mean, our Amethyst Steel, there is a chance they play Benja, but it's very good to get this card out early so that we can start exerting lore. But we do just what we were talking about here. Now that I found my whole new world, we are going to be singing it with Tinkerbell, and look at the hand our opponent has to throw away. So yeah, all those good plays, all that hand advantage our opponent has been manifesting through his rabbit and singing of friends on the other side and all such cards. We just throw that all away, and we're both gonna start off again with 7 cards in hand each. So very nice for us. Our opponent is going to be playing Elsa, the new Elsa we've been talking about that helps in this matchup. And with his snake and his rabbit, he's gonna trade into our Tinkerbell, get that threat off of the board. So very good. And yeah, things look not too bad for us. Our opponent is still at 0 lore because he's been having to answer a lot of our threats. He spent a lot of time trying to again generate an advantage, and luckily we did find a whole new world to throw it away. But yeah, very nice for us. Now we just want to keep the threat going. We want to be on the aggressive here because yeah, our opponent doesn't really have a board. There is the Elsa, which we somewhat have to worry about, but it's not a crazy enough board that we are concerned. Instead, we want to generate advantage here, and our way to do that is we're going to play Belle, who after we have over 10 ink at this point is going to be, her ability is active where she lures for 5 instead, and with that ability we can tap our Dime for 2 costs and just gain the lore that the Belle has without having to pay anything else. So 5 lore from the Belle, and we have Cogsworth also on the board, so our opponent is going to have a lot of issues getting rid of that because Cogsworth protecting Belle, there's a Zeus can still take it out, so if he had it, that is something worth thinking about, but it's too much of an advantage. If he didn't have a way to get rid of Belle, we win the next turn because we are at 12 lore there. She will quest herself for 5, and Dime gives us another 5. So him throwing in the towel there just means there was no way that he could get rid of Belle. So a lot of resources that he used trying to wipe our boards before ended up working out for us in the end. But yeah, game 1 I think went as well as it could have. So I'm very happy to see that. We are going straight into game 2 here. Our opponent actually doesn't have a turn 1 or turn 2 play. As we see, he is on the play, but he ends up not being able to play any cards. Unfortunate draws on his part, which happens. Playing Bluesteel in the past, that's definitely something I can relate to. Lots of bricks and a lot of learned lessons there, but yeah, as we can see here, turn 3 again, he has no plays, which is very, very unfortunate to see no plays for that long. But I mean, it's not the end of the road yet because this is not an aggressive Amethyst Steel style deck. It is very mid-range. There's still a chance to come back, especially me. I'm playing Bluesteel. I'm trying to ramp here. I don't even have a board yet. We see I had a turn 1 popsicle play. A turn 2, I also only had a popsicle, so I don't have an insane start myself, so a very good chance to come back for sure. I do, since my opponent does not have a board, I get the chance here to turn 3 play my Fishbone Quill and live my ramping dream as I've always wanted to. But yeah, on to turn 4, my opponent finally finds a card that he's able to play, which is Merlin Goat. This is such a crazy game where the first character hitting the board is a Merlin Goat. I doubt that happens a lot, but yeah, very interesting. My opponent gets 1 lore of that, so he even hits the board first. You know, he gets up onto the standings first with that 1 lore game. But yeah, on our next turn we are gonna play Chicha, and the reason we want to do that is we want to be able to draw off of the inking. This is actually really early in the set still, so this is the first game that I played of the season. So I'm very unlearned with these cards. So I think I do mess up if I remember correctly, where after I played Chicha, since I inked first with Fishbone, I thought I kind of messed up and don't get the second ink. But her card reads just the second time I ink for the turn, so even if she hits the board after I've been inking, as long as she sees the second card being played, I think I get to draw a card. But I think I messed that up there, and I don't draw. But yeah, I mean, not the biggest deal. We're still learning cards, but you know, even in normal play, sometimes we miss triggers, so something to think about and remember for the future for sure. But yeah, I do get a Hiram out anyway and draw 2 off of his effects, so we're drawing anyway. But our opponent gets a really good play here. On turn 5, he gets his Elsa out and taps our Hiram, who has 6 health. Merlin, Goat, and Elsa together do 6 damage, takes out the Hiram for free, which is very nice. I do respond in turn. I get my Cogsworth out for protection, but then I use my Baboom to take out the Goat. My opponent does get a lore because the Goat gets taken off of the field, but it is nice for us because then we kind of get rid of any bouncing shenanigans that my opponent can be thinking of. But yeah, on his turn, he's going to sing Grab Your Swords with Elsa, deals 2 damage to everything. Our Cogsworth does resist for our Chicha, but unfortunately our Chicha only has 1 health. She gets taken out anyway, so pretty nice use of Grab Your Swords in my opinion. Kind of stops our card draw, which is very important for Bluesteel. And we still get 2 damage onto Cogsworth. He doesn't resist for himself, so also getting some damage on the board. But yeah, he's going to be playing Beast Tragic Hero on his turn, which is always nice for us. I love seeing Beast Tragic Hero because that is where I can play my Tinkerbell to drop that 1 damage on the Beast, stop his own card draw. Before I use Cogsworth here to sing A Whole New World to refresh our hands. Thinking about this move again, debating if that's the move to make. So here's the thing, because once Tinkerbell hits the board and does 1 damage to Beast, he does lose his card draw ability, but he gains a second ability where he has a lot more strength on his turn now. I believe he's at 7. I think he gains 6, or not 6. Sorry, he gains 4. I think the total is 7 here, but basically what I'm trying to say here is he has enough strength to take out Cogsworth, which is something to consider for sure, something to be very worried about. But I think it's just I had extra ink and I'm out of cards, so I felt the need that I had to do it. Questionable if I should have. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard one because obviously I was going to have to play Tinkerbell there. Do I have to sing Whole New World? Questionable. Or do I let the ink go to waste? That's always tough to think about. But with our 5 remaining ink, we do get a Bell on board and we get a Fortisphere. So, I mean, we found some really good cards. We're probably going to lose Cogsworth here. So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely something to think about. But yeah, on my opponent's turn, he also has a refresh hand, something else to think about. We gave him a new hand as well, so he has a lot of options that he can think about as well. And one of those options we see is the Zeus, which we hate to see because that takes out our Bell very cleanly. And like we said, his Beast Tragic Hero is going to be taking out our Cogsworth, so not looking too great for us. My opponent also gets Rabbit, Merlin Rabbit out to continue his card draw. And yeah, I think after A Whole New World is played, you can feel pretty good with your card draw abilities. But yeah, on top of that, my opponent's going to be playing the new Pete, the Pete Referee, the one that stops actions. This card, I think, is the strongest in this color combination. In Amethyst, Steel, I think Pete, because Pete, I'm running 2 of in my deck personally because yeah, it's a good card. I think it stops actions. If you play it correctly, you can really save the game. But in Amethyst Steel, you can kind of play it more unreservedly because you have bounce, you have, you know, Mim Fox and Mim Snake. You can just play your Pete, bounce it back, play it again, and just keep your opponents out of actions. But yeah, way better in Amethyst Steel for sure. It doesn't mean it's any worse in, you know, Bluesteel, but definitely way better. Maybe more viable to run a 4 of in that deck, you know, because it's almost always useful. But yeah, on our turn, I'm going to play a Tamatoa to start cycling our items, and I play a Pete myself because I'm trying to protect Tamatoa here. You know, I just don't want any actions to be played. That's just, you know, just a hope that that'll keep him alive. But unfortunately for us, my opponent has another very annoying card, Elsa, the 5-cost Elsa, which turns our Tamatora before he can trade this beast into it. So maybe a big mistake on my part. This beast got a lot of work done. He took out our Cogsworth, and then now he helped take out our Tamatora, which is normally very hard for Amethyst Steel to take care of. But I just gave him a 7 attack beater just to take out our cards, which is very, very good for my opponent. Not only that, in this game, I do remember when I played A Whole New World earlier, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I did dump a lucky dime into my discard. I think that was part of my game plan. I think, if I remember correctly, if I'm wrong, just forget anything I'm saying right now, but I think that was part of my idea, and I was going to go for it with my Tamatora this turn because I thought he was relatively safe. You know, I'm still kind of new to this. I'm not sure how to play around this, but yeah, I wasn't expecting him to get turned and taken out, so I thought the next turn I could turn him, quest with him, retrieve the dime, and, you know, I kind of double dip with items there. Very, very greedy of me. I definitely should have just taken the dime outright instead of having to play these games. And now I lose my Tamatora and I don't have my dime still sleeping in the discard. But yeah, game goes on. Things aren't looking too great for us. I mean, it's not looking bad, but yeah, I do make a mistake here in thinking I can challenge the Elsa. That's something I'm gonna have to get used to. But yeah, I keep trying to challenge these Elsas that are evasive. Not used to these evasive rush characters, but since I couldn't do that, I just I opt to quest with my Tinkerbell and my Pete and instead try to get on the board here. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I should have quested with Tinkerbell there. As you can see, my opponent has a very good trade there with Maleficent and Pete to cleanly trade with the Tinkerbell. I just thought I might need some lore on the board, and I think I'm like kind of running out of options here. I think I definitely want to keep Tinkerbell on the board because she is very good at clearing some of these threats. So I think she's better as a deterrent. So maybe questing with her was not the best idea there. But live and learn. I've noticed, you know, especially in these games I've been playing recently, that Tinkerbell has been doing a lot of work as a deterrent and as a clearing force. But yeah, as we can see here, my opponent is going to reveal one of his cards that we haven't seen yet. Is the Bell Mystic. He's going to use that to shift over the damage counters on the Elsa onto our Shmi. Which is nice for him as he gets to kind of heal Elsa. Luckily for me, I do have a popsicle up that I can heal the Shmi with to kind of save myself from the impending death that he was about to encounter. And I'm running out of cards here, so I'm actually forced to play Cusco. But here's an interesting play I have that I think makes Cusco a really good card in the Bluesteel deck, which is I have a lot of ink, and I think he was the only card I could play. So I play him. I'm gonna use because since my opponent has no items or locations I want to get rid of, I ink my own popsicle because my popsicles aren't really doing anything. They're healing for sure, but they're best that I think being used as ink instead. So I ink one of them away, and then his second ability is for 4 ink. I can give all my other opponents, or all my other cards, resist 1. And since I had 8 ink remaining, I give everyone else resist 2, which is very nice. Unfortunately though, my opponent has yet another Elsa, and he turns my Cusco, which means he can be traded with again. And my opponent goes in with a Maleficent, and he shifts in a Robin Hood to finish off my Cusco here. My Cusco had no resist because he gives resist to my other characters. But he gains 2 lore for taking it out with Robin Hood. And then he attacks into Shmi. And then, you know, this resist math again. I think he thought he could take it out with his remaining cards. But the resist 2 means that I also can't take the Shmi out. So, maybe questionable because he attacked first with Bell Mystic. Maybe not what he wanted. Maybe he should have quested there instead. But, you know, resist math is very difficult for most of us players here. But yeah, I mean, my opponent is still in a much better spot than I am. I do end up having to trade. I just decided to trade off just to kind of simplify things. And since my opponent still had the Elsa on the board, he gets to shift into his new Elsa, trade once he exerts my character, and quest for free. with Elsa, which is a 3-quester, and he has a Pete out, which means I can't answer it. And I was kind of top decking at that point. As I said, the Cusco was the only card on my hand at the time, so every time I drew a card, I kind of was just playing it. But in that situation, and with an Elsa on the board, it was kind of rough, and I just decided to scoop there. Very well played from my opponent's part, really showing the power of this new 5-cost Elsa. But yeah, game 2 in my opponent's favor. He takes a game off of us, and we're going into game 3 here. Momentum is definitely in our opponent's favor, but the good news is we get to be on the play. We are on the loser side, so we get to be on the play. We get to go first, and yeah, going into this game, straight into it, we start Popsicle. Our opponent skips his first turn. We get Shmi on turn 2, and our opponent unfortunately has no turn 2 play. So again, we see my opponent struggling to find a play. I mean, that's good news for us, but we saw in the last game, it doesn't matter if he didn't play for the first 3 turns, he still found a way to take us out. So definitely not going to get complacent here. On our turn 3, we get Detective Mickey, continue our ramp. Our opponent gets Maleficent on his turn 3, a relatively passive play, something I like to see, I think, because it's not too concerning. And since we got to ramp from our Mickey on our turn 5, we get a Beast, which I thought was a really good spot, but unfortunately for us, he is going to trade in, and then for 4 ink that he just got 4 ink, he Zeus's our Beast, which is very nice for him. He gets to get off the Beast off of the board before he makes a significant dent into the game by giving me a lot of extra cards. Luckily for us though, we do have Hiram, so now I'm going to play the Hiram to get us the card draw that the Beast was supposed to be getting us. We have our alternative now, and we get another Popsicle, so at least we have fuel for our Hiram on the following turn. Our opponent is going to get to 5 ink here with another ink and play out his own Beast Tragic Hero. And from this point, I guess we can't complain too much about him sniping our Beast, because I'm going to be doing the exact same thing back to him, as you'll be seeing in a second there. But before that, I'm going to be questing with him, drawing the 2 extra cards, seeing my options before I play Chicha here, and then I'm going to Zeus right back. No, if you know what, if I don't get to play Tragic Beast, you don't get to play Tragic Beast. That is the way the game is going to go in this game. But yeah, we get a Chicha onto board. In case we do find alternative means to inking twice, then we do get another draw engine. So yeah, we are out of items to ditch here, so hopefully we do find another Popsicle or something that we can pawn off to get another draw 2 effect from our Hiram. But yeah, until then, our opponent is going to be playing Merlin Rabbit, continuing to exert this pressure on this board. But yeah, I mean, so he's just, you know, Rabbit is a good card to have, but he is significantly behind here since he did miss a couple turns of playing cards, and we have a board this time. You know, the last game I think we didn't find a lot of plays, which was instrumental in him finding his way back into the game by, you know, clawing his way back with some of his mid-range plays. But now that we have some pretty good plays here, you know, we got our Shmi on 2, which was very nice, and then we got our ramp into Beast, and then now we have Hiram, and then I play Cogsworth out, which is actually the perfect play, because my opponent on with 6 ink, he plays out Tinkerbell, which I think was one of the only plays he could have, and Cogsworth just protects our entire board here. Nothing gets taken out by this Tinkerbell. He just takes 1 damage for his troubles, which is very nice for us. But yeah, we are gonna keep up the pace. We're gonna play another Cogsworth, because resist I think is very, very hard for Amethyst Steel. Most Steel decks that you know, don't have Ruby and just straight up spot removal, or Sapphire, which also has its own spot removal. Without any of that, it's really hard now to handle our board. We have 2 Cogsworth out. Nothing is going to really be denting our cards. Everything is relatively safe here. So I felt pretty safe into casting our whole new world here, getting us a new hand. I sing it with one of my Cogsworths, which is kind of, you know, maybe a problem. It can be, you know, taken out, possibly something to think about. But I thought it was worth the attempt. But I do showcase a mechanic here with Chicha. She has support, so when I quest with Chicha, she's gonna give 2 strength over to Mickey, so that he has 3 strength this turn and can take out the rabbit. So Very nice here. You know, Chicha, she didn't get much draw for us because we didn't have much, you know, double inking doing. We have no Quill out. We already used our Mickey, and we've just kind of been solo inking since then. But she still can support our other cards, so very, very useful card. She is uninkable, so definitely something that, to keep in mind. But yeah, everything is turned sideways right now, though. Everything has resist 2 except for the Cogsworth with resist 1, so I think my opponent has to be doing a lot of math here. Where should Tinkerbell go in to have the most benefit on this game? But yeah, my opponent is going to be playing an Elsa here. Our Cogsworth has resist, or not resist, our Cogsworth has ward, so he can't force turn it with Elsa. So yeah, he's still going to be attacking with his Tinkerbell into our Cogsworth though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so with the Cogsworth, so okay, what happened there was Tinkerbell attack our Cogsworth. Since Cogsworth is taken off the board, she can do 1 damage, so she does the 1 damage to Chicha to take it out. But yeah, we are at 11 lore here to our opponent's 0. Again, he had to play a lot of, you know, controlling the board here, trying to get rid of our massive board, which we played almost on curve, so it's very nice for us. So we're in a kind of commanding spot here. We can kind of do whatever we want. Really nice thing to find here would be Dime. Dime would be a great super card for us because it would kind of solidify our road to victory. If not, we're looking for Tamatoa, big, you know, threatening cards like that. Tamatoa, Bell would be a great card to find. So we're just looking for win conditions here. But until then, we're just going to slowly, I think, edge our way to victory because our opponent is at 0 lore. I think we have a lot of room to mess around with. But yeah, I do find a Let It Go, so I'm going to go ahead and sing it with Cogsworth just because once I get Tinkerbell off the board here, she's the big threat. Once she is gone, our opponent is going to have trouble getting rid of this Cogsworth, I think, because there's only Maleficent and Elsa. He's going to need to get a rush on the board if he wants to get on there, and I really want to exert pressure here. Playing passively isn't the right idea when we are so ahead like this, right? We want to try and end the game, and if not, we're going to put enough, you know, threats on the board that my opponent gets worried and has to answer our board instead of luring for himself. But yeah, we got Tinkerbell on the board, and we're just gonna quest. We want to threaten lethal here, but sorry, not threaten lethal. We're just threatening lore, if anything. But yeah, my opponent's gonna bounce his Elsa back with Fox, replay it to get our Tinkerbell to turn sideways, you know, the big threat, and then he's gonna trade everything into it. And then with Elsa, he's going to run into Cogsworth just to deal 2 damage. But yeah, that was a lot of resources off of his board to get rid of our Tinkerbell. I think resources well spent because Tinkerbell was the big threat that was going to threaten clearing his board. But since he did that, we still have a really strong board here. I mean, we have our Hiram, we have our Cogsworth. That's a lot of questing potential already. And we find our Tamatoa on this turn. One of the things we're looking for. We don't have many items, but you know that can be remedied very easily with Bluesteel. And Tamatoa is a big body, very hard to get rid of. So that is another benefit for sure. But with our Hiram, we're also going to sing Zeus, get that Elsa off the board, and then now the game is very commandingly in our favor. Actually, the dice in the center, I totally forgot, but that white die in the center is determining turns left because we are going to overtime here. So that was turn 3. So I cut it close again. That was turn 3. This is turn 4 for my opponent, and then on turn 5, I have to try and find a victory. Because that is the last turn before the draw, and I do end up finding it. So a very close game. I totally forgot that happened, but yeah, that game went into overtime. If you want to go back and see it, when the white die enters the center of the board, that is when we go into overtime. But yeah, I came close because if you don't know, when you enter overtime, you have 5 turns to win the game. So that was it. But anyway, very good game. That was crazy. A good showcase of Amethyst Steel in my opinion. It looks like not a bad deck. It has a lot of mid-game plays, things to worry about. Probably needs a little bit of tweaking to get across the finish line. I think Bluesteel also is going to need a little bit of tweaking. I'm going to have to try out some of these new cards that we see in this new set. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too, checking out this video. If you did, again, I would appreciate liking, subscribing, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you guys again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!